Thank you, Jed, and thank you to the TUC for inviting me to speak today. As I remember this time last year addressing a packed conference hall in Brighton. This time last week, I thought I would be with you with an audience of about 30. By Wednesday, that had gone down to 6. And yesterday, when I was told to self-isolate because one of our families got possible symptoms, it's just me speaking to you from my home. But whatever the circumstances, Congress, our movement will always stand together. And I think the contributions we've just heard from the last few speakers absolutely demonstrate that. And I sincerely hope that this time next year, we will be back together again in that packed conference hall discussing the issues of the moment in the usual way. The general election result last December was devastating. Devastating not just for the Labour Party and the trade union movement, but devastating for the millions of working people who desperately need a Labour government. I'm incredibly proud of the courage and heroism of the British people in dealing with and standing up to this pandemic. But time and time again, the government has let working people down. Britain shouldn't have had one of the highest death rates in the world, one of the deepest recessions. We shouldn't leave our workers without protective equipment on the front line. We shouldn't have failed the most vulnerable in our care homes. And people shouldn't have to traipse halfway around the country in search of a COVID test when they're sick. Yesterday, my family were able to get a test quickly when we needed one, but only because my wife works in the NHS in a hospital that provides tests for staff and their families. For thousands of people across the country, it's a very different story. And after 6 months of this pandemic, that's completely unacceptable. And whatever Boris Johnson and Matt Hancock might say, it's not the British people that are to blame for these mistakes. It isn't the civil servants. It isn't care home workers or a mutant algorithm. It's the government. It's the government that's holding Britain back. At the very least, the Prime Minister should have spent the summer getting the basics right. A testing system that works. An effective track and trace system. We don't need world beating, we need effective. A plan to protect care homes this winter and an exam system that parents and young people can trust. The Prime Minister's failed on every count. And as infection rates rise and our testing system collapses, what are his priorities these last 2 weeks? Reopening old wounds on Brexit, trashing Britain's reputation abroad and making it harder for us to get the trade deal we all want. So my message to the Prime Minister is simple. Get your priorities right, get on with defeating this virus and get the Brexit deal you promised.